As passers-by pointed their smartphones at him, my father-in-law yelled shamelessly.
Could it be? Are you the police? Have you been watching me? Please, I beg you, I'll pay you off. Just let me go.
What? Money? What are you talking about?
Yikes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Trying to solve it with money. Saying that to someone he thought might be a cop. That's the worst. I'm Molly, 32 years old. I got married right before I turned 30, 2 years ago. My husband, Steve, is a timid company employee, 2 years older than me. He used to practice kickboxing when he was younger and was quite strong back then. But now he's put on some weight. He used to be quite strong back in his active days, according to himself. We live with my mother-in-law, Kathy. We chose to live together in a 2-bedroom apartment because we dream of eventually owning a house. Thanks to both of us working hard, our savings are on track. I've been able to keep working full throttle even after getting married, thanks to Kathy. Kathy takes on most of the household chores between her part-time jobs. Laundry, shopping, cleaning. She does it all. I'm so grateful I can't thank her enough. One day, Kathy, Steve, and I went to the supermarket and were shocked. Alcohol, chocolate, meat. Everything seemed to have gone up in price just a bit. I had heard about it on the news, but since Kathy does most of the shopping, I hadn't really felt it. I thought I had done something wrong. Kathy, are we okay with the household expenses?
What?
Kathy and Steve looked puzzled at my question. It's been a while since I've been to the supermarket. I didn't realize everything had gone up so much. I'm sorry, it's because I've left everything to you, Kathy. Wasn't it difficult shopping?
Maybe. It does feel like everything's gotten a bit more expensive.
Steve agreed, and I squinted at him. Do you really understand?
I'm sorry, I lied. I don't really understand.
Steve admitted with a laugh and quickly gave up.
But it really has gotten more expensive, right? Look, that little kid's crane game prize costs $5 now. When we were kids, you could play for just $1. I guess when we have kids, they'll be begging for stuff like that. Well, let's save that story for another time. Mom, we'll start giving you a bit more for the household expenses. There's only so much you can save, and it's no good if we can't eat what we want.
Saying that, Steve put back the cheaper malt liquor and picked up a more expensive beer. Watching our exchange, Kathy smiled warmly.
Molly, Steve, thank you. I'll make sure not to waste anything.
And then Kathy put the beer back on the shelf. Steve shrugged like a child caught being naughty. After that conversation, Kathy began to focus even more on saving. According to her, I had to get serious to make sure our savings aren't affected. Kathy started learning about cashless payments and rewards collecting, things she previously found difficult. She now turns off the TV when not in use, and even uses the used water for the garden plants. We, too, are working together with Kathy to reduce waste. However, at the same time, Kathy started doing something that went against her saving efforts. I'm home. Sorry I'm late. I'm exhausted.
Welcome back. Mom is currently changing the water in the bathtub, so why don't you eat first?
Right. I'll go change. What Kathy started that went against her saving efforts was changing the bathwater after Steve had used it. I don't know why she started doing this. Lately, Steve has been considerate and makes sure he is the last to take a bath. Today I came home late from work, which is why the bath water was changed. Why did Kathy start doing this?
I don't know. She just says it's nothing when I ask, so I really can't tell.
Steve scratched his beer-bloated tummy while reheating the dinner. We tilted our heads but didn't think much of stopping Kathy's peculiar behavior. A few months later, I took a weekday off to go to the gynecologist. Steve came along too. After the examination, Steve and I sat anxiously. The doctor casually announced,
"You're pregnant."
"Really?"
"Yes. This round spot here is the sac containing the baby."
A long-awaited baby. I'm so happy. Extremely happy. The doctor explained various things, but my mind was too filled with joy to properly remember everything. As the doctor finished explaining, she offhandedly asked,
"Is that eczema on his arm?"
"What?" I responded oddly because it was such a sudden change of subject. "Steve's arm." Indeed, lately, Steve has been suffering from severe skin irritation. His arms are red and scaly.
"The ointment for eczema can be used by pregnant women too, so it's okay for you to apply it on his back. Whether it's hereditary or not isn't clearly established yet, so don't worry too much about it."
Okay.
Steve nodded ambiguously. I wondered if the doctor thought the condition of Steve's arm required prescription medication. He seemed a bit anxious. He's a big guy but so timid. Should you visit a dermatologist?
I think I should. Molly will.
I'll go with you. Relief was evident on Steve's face when I said that. No need to be so nervous about a dermatologist visit. You're too much of a scaredy cat. Come on, toughen up as a dad, Steve. When we got home, we shared the news of the pregnancy with Kathy, who was preparing dinner.
Mom, actually, Molly is pregnant.
Oh my.
Kathy's eyes widened in shock. We thought she would be thrilled, but contrary to our expectations, her reaction was subdued.
Congratulations. So, it's a baby.
Mom, what's wrong?
No, it's a joyous occasion, yes.
Kathy's complexion grew increasingly pale, which unsettled me. I thought she would be happy about the baby. Steve, noticing his mother's odd behavior, became frantic.
What's wrong, Mom? Are you feeling ill?
It's nothing, is that medication for Molly, something like iron supplements.
Kathy pointed at the pharmacy bag Steve was holding.
If there's a baby coming, we need to be careful with food.
Oh, this is mine. We went to the dermatologist after the gynecologist. Apparently, my skin has been under stress. It seems like dermatitis. I don't know why. Anyway, they gave me some dermatitis medication. Mom.
Kathy. Upon hearing Steve's explanation, Kathy collapsed to the floor as if her knees gave out. What suddenly happened? As we panicked, Kathy confessed.
I'm sorry, the dermatitis is my fault.
What? It's your fault, Kathy.
I'm sorry, I've been tampering with the bathwater Steve uses. I've been adding a large amount of moisturizer I bought online.
Moisturizer? Kathy nodded. She showed us her purchase history on Amazon on her smartphone. It listed several unfamiliar chemicals. Looking closer, they seemed to be ingredients commonly found in bath additives.
I've been putting about 10 times the recommended amount of this medication in the bathwater, hoping it would cause skin rashes and itching on Steve.
10 times? That's almost like poison. You did that to me.
I thought if you had physical issues, you wouldn't feel like having a child.
I didn't know how to react. It was just moisturizer. Steve was calling it poison and making a fuss, but it clearly wasn't an actual poison. He had skin issues, but we still ended up having a baby. It's all a bit mixed. If it had been something clearly bad, I might have been angrier. But what really bothers me isn't the tampering with the bath. Kathy, did you not want to have a grandchild? That was more shocking. I had taken for granted that she would be happy about a grandchild. Kathy apologized deeply.
I'm sorry. I am looking forward to the grandchild, but I'm sorry.
Why? Why, Mom?
As Steve pressed for answers, Kathy began to mumble her reasons.
It might sound like an excuse, but I was abused by my ex-husband.
What?
Steve was just a baby, so you wouldn't remember, but it was awful. I would cover you with my body to stop his pinches from reaching you. I was helpless, getting hit and kicked. I thought he would kill me, so I ran away with baby Steve from him.
I had no idea. Kathy is always so calm and kind. I couldn't have guessed she went through that. Kathy continued speaking while still looking down the floor.
I really am looking forward to the grandchild, that's true, but when I see a baby, it triggers flashbacks of those times. That's why the idea of being at home all day with a baby scares me. I'm not ready.
Kathy,
I'm sorry for being selfish and causing trouble. Congratulations on the baby.
Kathy said she needed to cool off and went outside. She should have talked to us. I had no idea about Kathy's past. My emotions are all over the place. Are you okay?
I'm not okay.
Yeah, I get it. Steve was deeply upset upon learning that his father was an abusive man and that his mother had been tampering with the bath.
I'm starting to feel anxious. What if I turn out like him?
That's not going to happen. What are you saying? I was startled by Steve's words. I know he's a warrior, but... Come on. It's going to be fine. You're not like that.
You,
Oh, come on. This guy. I was on top of the world knowing about the pregnancy, and now this. I rubbed my belly and let out a heavy sigh. A few days passed. Kathy and we started adjusting our schedules to minimize face-to-face time. What are we going to do now? Out of the blue, Steve said,
I've been thinking. The real problem was my father.
Yeah. I agree. Kathy's silence and her actions with the bath weren't great, but the root of all evil was the Steve's father who abused her.
I want to see my father, just once. I want to know about my roots, sort of speak. I don't have the courage to talk to him directly, but I'd like to see him from a distance. So, I'm thinking of asking Mom about what he's up to these days.
Steve had a look of determination like I'd never seen before. Usually gentle, even to the point of seeming indecisive, it was surprising to see him with such a tense expression. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. I felt a sense of reliability in Steve for the first time. So, Steve's father. I want to see him too. Can I come with you? At my question, Steve's face brightened instantly.
Will you come? That's great. I was feeling anxious about going alone. Well, I'm so relieved.
Hey, there goes his solemn look. Just when he was looking good. Well, this is more like him.
Let's act quickly then. Let's go ask Mom.
Okay. Before Steve could hesitate, we knocked on Kathy's door. It was that weekend. We had come to the apartment complex where Steve's parents had lived when they were newlyweds. Kathy and her ex-husband had been estranged for nearly 30 years. If he had moved, we would have no idea where to find him. It couldn't be helped. Deciding to give up if he had moved, we visited the apartment complex, half hoping he would be there, and half hoping he wouldn't. We silently searched him there. While checking the mailboxes of the 5th building, I made a discovery. Oh, hey, isn't this it? Among the rows of mailboxes, I found the name Kathy had mentioned. In the slot for the nameplate, a yellowed paper read Thomas Hanks.
My father. He's here.
Seems like it. Steve stared blankly at the mailbox. Then he slowly looked up at the building.
Probably that room on the 3rd floor. The lights are on. He might be in.
Should we ring the intercom?
No, 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 no.
Steve shook his head vigorously.
I don't have the courage for that.
You don't have to say it so proudly. Realizing it was impossible to face him directly, Steve shouted, so we sat down in the shade of the bicycle parking area. We spent the time discussing whether we should press the intercom, hoping maybe he would peek out the window. About an hour after we sat down, the window of the room where Thomas was living closed. Wait, is that Thomas coming out?
What? What should we do?
As we strained our ears, we heard the sound of footsteps descending the stairs. Clink, clink, clink. We watched the entrance anxiously. Then, he appeared. A tall, thin, dark-skinned man. I knew it at first glance. That man was Steve's father. Their faces were so alike. If Steve were to lose weight and age, he would probably look just like that. Thomas walked off, wearing a red cap and a displeased expression, heading towards the station.
There he goes. That man.
Steve quietly stood up and began to discreetly follow the man he believed to be his father. I quickly caught up to Steve. Keeping a safe distance, we followed the man. As we were about to reach the station, the man suddenly picked up his pace. Did he realize he was being followed? Startled, we were about to be shocked even more. Incredibly, Thomas briskly walked into a young woman coming from the opposite direction. What? The woman was knocked down by the impact. Thomas didn't even glance at her and continued on his way. Hey. What is he doing? Are you okay?
Yes.
We rushed to the woman who had been pushed. She removed her earphones and nodded to us.
That man is known around here as the bumping man. I wasn't paying attention.
The bumping man.
Since Steve seemed confused, I explained. He's someone who intentionally bumps into people at trains and stations, like an assailant.
What is that?
I don't know much either, but such people exist in the world. Fortunately, the woman wasn't injured. We watched her go. Steve muttered as he watched Thomas walk away with a stern expression.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Steve slumped his shoulders in disappointment. Thomas had redirected his aggression from Kathy to complete strangers. Maybe we shouldn't have come to see him, Steve's father. Steve was so shocked that he sat down on a station bench and couldn't move. The day was almost over, but I couldn't bring myself to suggest going home. I'll go get some drinks. Steve just nodded silently. How could I cheer up Steve? I bought coffee at the station stand and walked slowly back towards Steve, feeling at a loss. Saying cheer up wouldn't help, and telling him don't worry wouldn't either. What should I do? As I was pondering, Steve was walking towards me. His expression was stern, but he seemed to have regained some will to move. I quickened my pace. Here's the coffee, huh? Steve walked right past me. Why? Just as I wondered this,
You.
I heard a scream from behind me. Startled, I turned around to find Steve standing over a man who was on the ground. A red cap lay nearby. It was Thomas. I stared blankly at the two of them.
You were just about to bump into him, weren't you?
What? No, I didn't. But.
If I hadn't stepped in, you would have pushed him over.
Thomas was stammering, clearly lying, and his eyes darted around. Up close, the resemblance between him and Steve was undeniable. Though Thomas probably had no idea that the man who thwarted him was his own son. Steve, with his experience in kickboxing, had no trouble handling a lanky man.
Don't lie. You suddenly changed your direction and started walking fast towards him. It was a really unnatural movement. I sue everything.
No, that's not. You're mistaken.
Huh?
Yeah. I mean,
You also bumped into a woman with their phones earlier today.
What?
He's overreacting. After acting like a hit-and-run thug, this is his reaction when caught. It's pathetic how jittery he is. Some passers-by are pointing their smartphone cameras at us.
Wait, you might be the police. You were watching me, weren't you? Please, I'll pay you. Just let me go.
What? Money? What are you talking about?
Yikes. Sorry.
Trying to solve this with money. Saying that to someone he thought was police. This man is definitely Steve's father, but I feel absolutely no desire to be kind to him. Steve said with a lifted eye.
I'm not the police. I don't want your money. I don't know what you're thinking, but it's disgraceful. Stop doing things like this. Bumping into people and running away is cowardly. Don't ever do it again. Got it?
Yes.
Do you really understand?
Yeah. Yes. I won't do it again.
I wonder if that's true. But he seems like a coward, so maybe he won't after being yelled at like this. And it's all caught on video by passers-by. After a brief moment, Steve silently turned around.
Let's go home.
Yeah. Steve was slightly teary-eyed. Later, a video taken by someone ended up on the news. It was featured in the viewer submission segment as the Bumping Man video. Our faces were blurred, but it was definitely us. Afterwards, reporters staked out the station and interviewed Thomas. who blurted out his past misdeeds during the flustered interview. He talked about how he had been violent towards his wife and committed shoplifting. Due to that, he briefly became infamous. Obviously, not in a good way. Now famous locally, he will probably have to live a diminished life, wary of the public eye. Our living arrangement with Kathy ended when she moved out, apologizing continuously for tampering with the bath. However, Kathy's new studio apartment is just a 10-minute walk away. She's volunteering at a children's center now, trying to get used to being around small children. The awkward relationship between Steve and Kathy is gradually healing with the distance. Maybe someday, if Kathy overcomes her trauma, we could live together again. Next time, instead of renting, maybe we could even buy our dream house. The baby in my belly is growing well. It's a boy. I just worry he might end up timid like his father. But remember, your dad can really step up when needed. He's a reliable man who can protect his family. I'll love and protect you thoroughly too. So, come into the world without worry.